A simple way to give charm to your website is by doing a click animation, and we are going to learn how we can do this click animation. And obviously it doesn't have to be this animation. You could add any personal animation that you want. You could do stars, you could do circle, whatever you wish. And basically we are using Lottie file around here to do the animation wherever we click. So before we start, I want to tell you that this doesn't require Elementor. You could do it with just your simple coding, or you could do it just with any other page builder that you have. So let's get started quickly. Now before we start and I show you how this code works, I want to showcase something so that we can visualize it better. And also I will also show at the end how you can run this code to your whole website. So currently this code is only working on this page like this, but we can show it on our whole website. And you don't really need Elementor Pro, but if you want to buy Elementor Pro, you could use the link in description. And let's get started then. So to visualize it, what I want to showcase is whenever we click somewhere, you could see that whenever we click, this animation happens, but what is actually happening in the backend? So whenever we click, we are actually creating a container in this shape like this to wherever our location or wherever our click is. So for example, I added a full width. You don't need to do this step. I'm just showcasing it to visualize it. So you could see that I am creating a container which is 200 in width and 200 in height like this. Inside of this container, I'm adding the Lottie animation like this, and this container I'm giving it an ID Lottie underscore container. I haven't added underscore around here because I have the code running in here and I don't want the code to affect this container, but imagine that there is an underscore around here. So we are basically creating a container. We are giving it an CSS ID Lottie underscore container, and the reason why we give it CSS ID is so that we can customize it better. And inside this container, we are adding our Lottie animation. So what we are next doing is we want this container to be absolute. And what absolute does is it removes it from using any space in like this section. For example, if I want to create like an image like this below this one. So let's say if I create an image, you could see that this is taking a space. I don't know why this red box is showing. It's just a glitch, I believe, but you could see that this is taking a bit of a space and then pushing this down. We don't want our container to do that because whenever we click somewhere, we don't want it to push other elements. So what we are going to do is we are going to make this container, which is this one, to position absolute, and then what it does, it does not take any space anymore like this. And we can see that our left value is set to 0 and our top value is set to 0. And the absolute is based on this container. Now you can see that I can just move it however I want. I'll just add a z index higher so that it is placed on everything. And you could see that I can just play around with values and then place it wherever I want. So this is basically what we are doing, that whenever we click, we are just spawning this container wherever our click location is. And we are finding this X and Y location based on our mouse click. So let me just remove this image and then let's make this default. Now you could see that I actually have this animation happening. So to visualize it better, and I'll get into code pretty quickly, but I want you guys to understand it so that you could customize it better. I simply added a background color blue to my animation. If I refresh my page and click somewhere, you could see what's happening. You could see that this container, the same size, we are just adding it whenever we click. And once it is done, it just disappears. So it is getting deleted every time the animation is done like this. So that's basically what we are doing. So let me just explain to you code and I'll explain to you how we added it. So I'll add this code in the description. It will take you to my website where you could copy the code. Basically copy the code in an HTML widget. If you want to do it for a single page, do it in an HTML widget like this. You could see I've added an HTML widget. Just add an HTML widget and then copy the code inside of that thing. But this would make the code work on that singular page. I'll show you how to do it in the whole website later on in this video. So I'll just add it in my notepad to show you what we are doing. So right now you could see that we have a style. So basically you can see that we have added like 200 by 200. Then we have added a Lottie underscore container class. We have given it a z index of higher, and we obviously make it to absolute and stuff like this. So basically we are saying that whenever we have a container which has CSS ID of Lottie container, you could see like this, we want the position to be absolute. That container should be 200 pixel in height and width. So, and here you could change it to any value that you want. So let's say if I do, let's say 300 by 300 in here, and then I click somewhere, you could see the animation happens, but it's not in center. And I'll show you why and how to fix that. But before that, let me just show this. And then we are doing pointer event none and z index 9999. Pointer event none basically just makes it not interactable, whatever we are spawning. Then we add z index 999 so that it is placing on top of each other. Okay. So what we are doing next is we are just checking on document, and when we click on the document, so which is whenever we click, we are creating a function called e. Okay, and you could name it anything. You could name it event or just your name or whatever, but e is like commonly used, e or event, stuff like this. So you could just call it like event and then call this like event like this, but I'll keep it e for now. It's easier to remember. Then we are saying that x should be wherever our page x is. So wherever our mouse is, whenever we click, it has an x location. So from left to right goes x, top to bottom goes y. So in the x axis, page x is like a JavaScript function which finds the location of our cursor and then takes the x value and adds it in the x, and in the y we add our y value. So basically x and y is the coordinate of our mouse whenever we click. Then next job is to create this container. So we want this container to spawn wherever we click. Okay. So the first thing is constant Lottie container and document create element div. Basically what we are saying is that we want to create a container which is a div. It's basically like saying doing this plus icon and then making this set to div like this. Okay, it's basically doing that. We are basically creating a new container whenever we click. We are giving the new container whenever we click the CSS ID Lottie container. So what happens when we give it CSS ID Lottie container? It uses this configuration. So we create a new container wherever we click, we give it CSS ID so that it can use this CSS class or CSS configuration. Then we can see that we have added a top and left to our Lottie container. Now, if you guys don't know what top and left is, you could see that when we add it in here, the absolute value, we basically add in top and left like this. You could see this is left and this is top like this. And usually when we use coding, we add like top around here like this 0 and left around here, left 0 like this. We add stuff like this, but we are not using this because we want the left and top to be dependent on our mouse click, right? So what we are doing is to find the location of our top, we are creating, we are just finding the y location, which is our coordinate, which is y location, and doing -100. Now why we are doing -100 around here? So let me just showcase first these two values and then I'll show you why we are doing -100. So we are basically saying the top value should be our y pixels. So whatever our y coordinate is, -100, and we are basically saying that it should be pixel. So if you make this, let's say percentage, it would be doing like whatever location it is, let's say 300, and then it would do 300%. We don't want that, we want pixel. So whatever value it is, let's say y turns out to be 500 in our coordinate, it would be like 500 pixel, or x would be 400 pixel with if you don't do -100. Basically we are basically saying that we want to use the unit pixel, nothing crazy. We are just saying that we want this to be based on pixel. Okay, so let's say if I remove this one in my code, okay, if I make this 0, so right now what I've done is I just made this to 0 so that it is not being -100, and you could see what's happening. Let me add my background blue. so that it can be visualized. So when we click, you could see this is what's happening. We are creating a 200 by 200 container, which is like similar to like this. You could see wherever we click. But now we don't want it to be at this location, obviously, right? We want it to be at the center. So we know it is 200 by 200, right? So what we can simply do is we can move our this container left by 100 pixels. So we just move it left by half of this size. So if I add, let's say -100 like this in the X position. So if I change this to, let's say, this is how it was set. I just added -100. Now you could see where it is positioning. We just made it go left by -100. Now we will also do it for Y, so that it is now placing our mouse in the center like this, or this container in the center of our mouse. Then we are basically saying that when we click, we just want to add the Lottie container, which is this one. You could see we are basically saying that just add this container, Lottie container, which basically creates this div, and the div is given this Lottie container ID. The ID uses this stuff, and we also add top and left value. So basically we just spawn this container wherever we click. Now the next thing is loading the animation. Now I don't really understand how this code works. Load the Lottie animation. I just copied it, which is like common stuff. So we are basically using like an animation data, a container, Lottie container. So this is the container where the Lottie animation would be running. Then we use a renderer, which is SVG. I believe there are multiple renderers that you could check by googling the different Lottie animation renderers. Then we have loop. So we don't want it to loop. We only want it to play once. We want it to autoplay. So we type true, and then we have our path. And this is where I add our Lottie animation file. So if I type Lottie like this, and if I do this, you will not have this option if you don't have Elementor Pro. So what would you do if you don't have Elementor Pro? Basically, WordPress does not allow uploading JSON files by default. You could see that I have added a confetti explosion.json. It does not allow to add it by default. What you could do is you could go type plugin, add new, and then install some Lottie animation file, or Lottie animation plugin, I mean. And whenever you add a Lottie animation plugin, it allows you to upload Lottie files. Basically, you could see there's Lottie files for Elementor and stuff like this. And maybe once you upload it, you could like delete it, but I'm not sure if you delete the plugin it will still work or not. So just test it out. Basically, if you have Elementor Pro, you would have this widget, Lottie widget, and then you could basically temporarily add it like this, and then choose your Lottie animation like this. You could see I have few Lottie animations, and I'll show you where you could like add the Lottie animations. So basically, once you click around here, you just have to drag and drop your JSON Lottie animation file inside of this one like this. And once you upload it, you just have to go to your file URL, copy this like this, and then replace the path which is around here with your location, and it would play that Lottie animation. And another thing is, if you don't have Elementor Pro, you could do that thing. Or if you want to, if you are still using Elementor free version, what you could do is you could install another plugin called Premium Add-ons for Elementor, which I also have installed. You could see it adds this this widget, and basically it will also allow you to do the same stuff that Elementor allows, which is basically allow you to we click around here, click media file, and then it will basically allow you to upload JSON files to this one. If you don't know where to get JSON files to this, you could go to lottiefiles.com or any other Lottie site, and then basically search for stuff that you want. For example, if you search for click, you could find this animation or other animation like this. If you want to learn to create this Lottie animation, I actually have a tutorial where you could use After Effects to create your own Lottie animations. If you don't have After Effects, you could actually go to Lottie Files and use the inbuilt creator. So if you could go to your dashboard and create it there, and then upload it to your website after exporting it. This is like a complete different tutorial if you want to create your own Lottie. I actually have a video on how you can create Lottie animations. Once you have uploaded, all you simply need to do is click the file URL, add it around here, and basically I'll just delete this once. Basically, all you have to do this is change the path around here, and then the next is our constant anim, which basically runs the animation which is added in our animation data, and the last one is to remove it once the animation is complete. So you could see that we will remove the animation, or sorry, remove the container when animation is complete. Now another thing I want you guys to remember is that make sure the animation that you're using runs instantly. So right now you could see that this animation runs instantly, but if you use some animation which does not run instantly, for example, I don't know if I could find it. So for example, this version, right, you could see that for first few frames nothing's happening, it is showing blank like this. So make sure when you create your own Lottie animation or you're using something from this one, there is no space like this blank inside of this, because then what would happen is it would look like way too much delay. So if you click on it, it would show like blank canvas like this for a second and then play, so it would look a bit delayed. You don't want that to showcase like that, and that's usually what we do. So basically, let me just remove my background so that we could like see what we are doing, and let me showcase some other one if you want to see. Let me just copy this one and try it. And then you could see that this is the one that I just showcased, and even though I click, it's way too delayed. Now you could check with our different animation that I've used, it just works perfectly. See, nice, and looks cool too. Now to showcase some more thing, which is like how to change the size, you could just change it to 300 by 300 like this to make it bigger. And here you could see it is working, but it is not being in the center, because we have to choose is we need to go below, find this tab which is Y, top and left, and we have to do is make it half of that. So what is half of 300? 150. So we do 150 and 150 like this. So I'll do 150 and do 150, and now we wait, and you could see it is now running. In case you cannot see the animation happening in the editor, just update it and check it on the live page. And now you could see the container has gotten bigger and the animation has gotten bigger. Now we see how we can upload it to our whole website. So I'll copy this. Now there are two ways to do it, or even multiple ways, but two ways I'm going to show you is, let's say you have Elementor Pro. If you don't have Elementor Pro, you could use the link in description, and that way you could support me. So what you basically do is, if you have Elementor Pro, if you don't have, check the second step or second method. So we go into Elementor, go into custom code, we click add new. We can name it anything. I'll just do like click animation. I'll do location to body start and just paste the code around here. Do publish. I'll do for enter site and save and close. This is why I prefer people to get like Elementor Pro, so that you don't have to install like extra plugins. So now if I go, you could see I can click anywhere on my website and it just works. Some locations I'm not sure why it is not working. For example, this location, it's not working, but I've checked in my whole website and it works every single way. So you could see I can click anywhere and then it just works in my whole website. Now if you don't have Elementor Pro, let's see what we can do. So I'll just remove it from Elementor Pro. We will need to install another plugin for this one, which is called Code Snippet. Go to plugin, type WP code and install this plugin WP code. It has 2+ million active installations. And what we will do in our WP code is, let me go to code snippet around here like this. You can see I've already added it, but I have disabled it, which is why I like this plugin, so that you could disable it. Now, another thing is, this is the reason why I suggest people to get Elementor Pro, because if you have Elementor Pro, we have to use like 2 less plugins, which is like one less plugin for Lottie animation and second for this code effect, or like universal code basically. So we will do is, we will go to WP code, click add new. And if you use Elementor Pro, if you want to get Elementor Pro, use the link in description. You don't have to install the Lottie animation plugin and this one for that. We can just type anything, click animation, make sure it is set to HTML snippet, and then copy the code that I've given. We will do site wide body like this, and then make it active and save it. Let's go to our home page like this. And you could see it is still running. Just to confirm it is running, I'll change it to this confetti animation. Let's change the path to our new path. Now there are multiple ways to do this particle effect, but I did the JSON effect, or sorry, Lottie animation effect, because we can create like any animation easily and we don't have to worry about much. So here you could see we got our particle effect ready, and that's all. So if you want to get Elementor templates, you could check my website for free Elementor templates. You could go to my blog for like cool new stuff. For example, cool effect on hover like this, free floating bar. You could try with Elementor templates, which has like lots of useful stuff along with like template design stuff. And that's all you need to do. I'll just deactivate around here so that my website doesn't run it. And make sure you like and subscribe so that I can make new videos like this more. And yeah, thanks for watching, and just give me suggestion if you have anything that you want to. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.